Hi, Joseph. Let's find your work. 005, unit 3. Okay. I have spent an amount of time working on João Vitor's homework. So I think your work will be easier because I remember what I've done, and as it is the second time, it will be easy for me. First, layout in part 1 is about registering your cost components and your center costs and applying your costs into your activities, straight through your activities. View with the control keyboard pressed cost components, and view with cost center control keyboard pressed. We have the two tables side by side. Expenses, taxes in real, expenses and taxes in dollar, funding in real. Okay, negative value for funding. The rate is 5 to 1. I think today is 5 and 20 to 1, but we have agreed that to make 5 to 1. And the cost centers should group them. Cost real means cost, tax and expenses in real. Costs in dollar, expenses and taxes or fees in dollar. Total cost means all the expenses and taxes together. Cash flow is what comes in and what goes out. Okay, dollar or real. You will notice that when you group costs like dollar and reals or Ghanese dollars, it will be converted to the unique currency unity. I mean, if we have dollar 5 and real 1, means that the fixed and common currency is real. To change into dollar, you have to click on the head of the line and to fix convert to units. So all dollars will be converted into 1 and all other currencies will be converted relation to the dollar 1. I mean a 50th of a dollar, or the real is 1 and the dollar is 5 times the real currency. You have made it okay. Total investment that we have just one component, tax and fees, the dollar and reals. Okay, it's okay here. You have applied for transports, trans license, assembly work permit, and inspection assessment fee. Okay, 4,500 fixed. Tax are fixed here and at the beginning. Okay, 50 reals at the beginning, 2,000 real at the beginning. Is it right? At the beginning? And work permits. I think work permits is at the end. I will look at, okay, license for environment work. It refers to Yes, you are right. Fix as tax, but you have to pay it at the end of the period. A dozen reals, okay. So if you notice it, it is repeating all the time. Well, 500, okay. 90 plus 500, 400, 4,500 reals. But yes, that's right. So you made it correctly. You made a split here. It's very nice and didactic. Helps people to understand the group's expenses, costs, real. That means all the expenses together. If you have noticed, 4,500 plus 50 means expense cost real. Let's see. Why it's so different here? Tax fee, expense costs remaining. Let's calculate it. Expense costs real. Expense codes. What did you do here? Expense costs real. Okay. Costs, components, expense, costs remaining. I cannot understand this sum here. 5, expense, cost, real, fixed. Not fixed per volume. Oh my God. Let's see, let's read together. There is a license to work. Where is it? Expense cost is for volume. Let's check it here. Okay, Jules, I got it. Accounts, financial, okay, a license, transit license per cubic meter. Per cubic meter is not fixed, but per volume units. Per volume units. 500. It's not fixed, it's according to, okay, you have calculated it. It's not wrong in its sense, but you should use per volume, per volume, but when you read the text, it's just 50 reals on the spot at the beginning. There is a cost for the block movements per volume, and a single tax for the whole thing on spot. Tax fee fixed on spot. It happens here, but when you apply 500 reals per volume, the calculation will be done automatically. Let's check it. Calculate material, calculate supply, calculate everything. let's see here, 4,500 plus expected cost real. It should be the sum of all costs here. Expenses cost US dollar. There is no cost dollar here. Let's see. Transfer license, risk costs, expenses, cost real. Expenses, cost real. There is tax fee. Oh yes, you have a dollar fee for assessment for the work. No, let's see again. Let's check it again. Work permits, work permits for assembly inspection. Okay. Work permits, 2,000 paid on spots, 12,000 and 2,000. 12 paid on spots. Yes, fixed on spots, But it is in real. Yes, assessment fee is in dollar. Assessment fee is in dollar. Okay. I don't understand this amount of cost here. I remove them. Oh, sorry. I remove them and I will show them again. Expenses, costs, cumulative or remaining. Expenses, costs, and dollar, fees, okay, remaining. I will calculate it again. I'll check if everything is okay. Calculate. Calculate assignment, supply, calculate schedule, okay, instrument analysis, and I have to calculate it, okay. 4,500 plus within anything else. I can't understand. Okay. You have some other information here. Okay. I forgot it. I forgot the other costs because we were on part 1, but we also having other costs from part 2, 3, and 4 of your exercise. Okay. But you applied the money into in fixed units, not per volume. So it is important to make the difference here. Although you have multiplied it 500 and not 9,000. The value will be kept the same, will be remaining the same value here, I think, 36,000. Okay, you have just to fix this idea, not fix it by your calculation, but the software calculation per value. Imagine if you change your volume here to 100, you expect that this cost change automatically, not by your own individual calculation. Okay, this layout was done, and the next layout is, what is the next layout? In English, yeah, here. Mm. The next is project cost histogram. Instead of seeing the money, just its total value, or in analytical view of cost composition, you can see it graphically. And this mode 35, where is mode 35 here? Here. WBS code, name, notes, and all the cost components here. And the graphs grouping total costs of the project and total costs of indirect and direct phase. This is for projects, indirects and directs. Okay, checking, yes, total costs, center, costs, center, costs, cost center, total costs is the same. Total costs, let's see if they are the same. Yes, because there is a total cost general variable here. You choose the cost center total cost. Okay, is it cumulative or not cumulative? So groupings total costs. Presenting tributes, totalize the graph month grouping total cost. It is not clearly informed here. You must assemble, present the attributes, okay, and the graph's monthly cost center. Okay, but it's not indicating if it is cumulative or not. And you choose here not cumulative. Okay, you may understand how much money to be necessary to honor your expenses during the periods. Total costs, indirects and directs. Okay, it seems that there is no cost, direct cost here, probably because you have to wait for somebody here. I mean, there should be a start net somewhere here. Where is it? Where is the start net? Start net. Start not earlier than. Here. It moved okay because it is as last as possible. Okay. So you have a gap. A work gap here, of course, a work cost gap expenses here, but you have your indirect work supervising and other indirect work. Okay. The idea of this layout is to show how the money will be spent. 37. Components, okay, code WBS, name, what else? Totalizer field of components of a total cost center, okay, cost centers. And so, cost center, cash flow, there's no reason to show cost flow, but cost real, tax and fee, total costs. There is no total investment, but we can show it here. Cost centers. Totalize fuels of the components, total costs. Okay, total cost has its own components. Total cost is expressed by costs, tax, costs in real, fees in reals, tax and fees in dollars, and expenses in dollars. Okay. Besides the cost center, I can show its components. If you sum, I think, total cost remaining, if you sum all these costs here, we'll reach this one. Expenses, calculating. I do not understand why this expense is a component bigger than the total costs. What happened here? Okay, Joseph, I paused the video, but now coming back, I could understand what was happening here. View, costs, cost center. When you define your cost center, you said that total costs include material consumptions, but not all materials. Okay, I will make what you have done. I repeat what you have fixed here and calculate. I cannot repeat what you have done. Anyway, you should set all the materials considered in projects, because the total costs groups all the expenses and taxes into itself, and of course all the materials. But I note something here. I will have to jump into material table to remember you that supervision container and generator are not materials, not equipments to be acquired. They are just services. If they are services, they are not being shown here. Okay, I will delete from this table, and yes, every activity that uses it will be deleted. Or not activities, but its components and assignments. So, if you have not generator and the supervision container as a material, what are they? They are view resource. They are services, and they will be paid by month or by hour as a service. So there will be a difference here. And again, total costs, view, cost, cost center. Total cost is the grouping of all the expenses and taxes, and all the material, but only the material that were acquired. All the material that are acquired. Do not include material income because we have not material income yet. Okay, calculating. Now that makes sense. The total cost of the project is the expenses for direct and indirect work, and tax in real and tax in real of from indirect and direct work, and of course also the expenses and taxes in dollars. But this amount of money will be converted by 5 into the total cost value. I think I could make you understand this difference. Whole projects, okay, in 37, mode 37, we should have, what should have? Accumulated graph, accumulated means cumulative, box checked, okay. Monthly, okay, monthly, let's see, monthly. Totalize field of total cost center. Detailing this cost center. Detailing of the detailing of this cost center in its various components. Okay. Detailed means expanding. Expanding. Let's see if you have expanded it. No, you made it in a different way. You decide to show total costs, okay, and its components. It's not wrong. It's what we have asked in your mode 37, and it's here in histogram way. Let's see here. Okay. Tax expense, okay. But if you decide to show it not in histogram way, but in columns, it will be nicer. But anyway, this is a way to show the cost center and its components, but you may also choose just the cost center and then check these expand centers. Expanding centers will automatically show the cost components inside this cost center. That's the same what we have done, but instead of choosing every cost component below the cost center, you just choose your cost center and ask for the show expanding it into its details. That's the same thing. I prefer columns, not histogram. You may also think about looking into stacked piles, stacked columns. To see, there's a problem here. The total cost is blue, is the sum of its components. Or you do not use total cost, but you choose your cost components without funding. And you have here the total cost, the cost center made up bottom up by its components. The tax fees in dollars is too small. Remember, it's being shown here in dollars. Mixing dollars with reals is not a very good thing. So avoid showing them together. Look for your cost center. Total costs, expand you see everything together. I think you sum it here, you reach 300, 370, 400, yes, maybe converting it to reals. Okay, mode 37, 37 is on. Part 2. Part 2, we are looking for, okay, to view, to register your materials. Blocks are here. Civil assembly kits, mounting kits, okay, all the kits are here. Kits, Control C, Control V. PP kits, water, diesel, grass. You applied your unit cost, okay, per liter, per unit, per piece, per square meter, and its fees and its tax, of course, and the tax they deserve. PP kits, okay, units. This is a tax you have to pay, like a royalty, for each block used in this project. It does not happen. It don't happen. It does not happen in this other material here. As you have cost components registered, you may assign materials with their own value automatically. So in flow 1, block F, you may see not only your resource, but also the materials you assign to them. Allocation of materials. You have the activity, for each block, and you may apply the quantity of materials in a table for each activity. We have done this, civil, okay, grass, just the grass would appear just on grass. Removing filter, where is grass here? 450 square meters. Because the filter, you could not see landscaping, so you could not fill landscaping, grass assignment here. Water fixed. Is it necessary 3,000 liters of water to wash the landscaping? I know you have to wash each block, and it's free, and it is here. But I don't remember washing the landscape. You have to check it before finishing your unit 3. Let's see if there is something here. Cap table, grass, okay, input, okay, you can fix the cost. All the kits are applied to assembly according to our handbook, okay. Fix container, our container supervision. Let's, okay, you applied materials to these blocks. But what about planning, supervision, is there any material for them? I don't think it has some materials for them. Block water container supervision for rentals, okay. If you see in your handbook that you have translated or correct the translation, you see that in the form of rentals, not as material inputs. So that's not time to talk about materials assignments in indirect work. Okay, you finish with it, but as always, we have to see it in a histogram way. Project water. We have water in project, in indirect phase, indirect phase. We do have water in indirect phase because people used to drink water. They drink water. They use water. So we have a small amount of water here. And it seems to be constant because they are constant in their work. It's a hammock. And there is a plateau. Can you see here? A plateau in projects about 400 liters per week. Because we have 400 weeks every week. And some peaks, which peaks are these ones? Because in direct work, we have some washes. We have to wash everything there. And there is a very small, let's see in detail, this small plateau. There is a small plateau here due to people drinking water. There is no drinking water in this gap here. You know why. Okay, let's see here the way you build your layout. 45, histogram of material, project water. I have to find WBS code, name, fields of the components of the totalizers of the insubmost center. Diesel, PPE kits, and water. Let's see. Show columns, materials, diesel. We could show also grass, PP kites, water. Okay. We could also see mounting materials. I don't think. Okay, let's calculate again. And make a journey here. Diesel is for transport. The assembly seems that does not use any kind of equipment that consumes diesel. Also inspection. PP kits. PP kits means that people use protection, security protection, equipment for protection. But of course, they do not use fraction of it. So I will hide all the decimal places, and I understand that in this project we will have to have 70 or 57 PPE kits. There are 40 people here. 40, there are much more than 57 kits. I don't think, just 57 kits for everybody. No, because we are not working with every assembler, with every helper, with every supervisor. Although we have 40 supervisors, we just use 18 and 36 at the same time. We use scheduled. It is scheduled to work here in this project. 18 with 36 is 54, 54, 57, okay, 57, 57 PPE kits is sufficient enough for these projects. By the way, I do think we have two main resources here. 40 of everybody means a lot of, how do you say, free resources. Free resource. There is too much free hours, work hours. Okay, if mode 45 is finished and you made it okay, path mode 47. 47 is the composition of materials, meaning special materials, during project time. There is the project, here is the project, it is the project. The time, the whole time of the project, and we have here block A. When do we use block A? Here. Block A, block none. So this graph showed us where we are using block A. It is so. Here is by weeks. Is it by week? Special center, not accumulates, then in blocking rise of various components, you illustrated this position. Yes, it is in a sense of week periods. Include plan, okay, parameters, block type B. Use the histogram. Yes, I will try to use columns. Block A. So many block A's here. There are two: assembly, equipments, imputes, remainings, special remainings, materials center, inputs, equipments, special one, inputs, okay, special ones, here. Why do we have 3 blocks here? We transport 1 block, we inspect 1 block, and we assembly 1 block. My God. Let's see again your material. Block A, B, C, D, fixes. Just to check again. Just to check if you made it correctly. Fixes. You assemble 1 block. So the block must be assigned to the assembly activity. Of course, you transport the block and you inspect the block, but when you assign a block for buying blocks, you have to buy just 1 block. And we assigned it, in our case, in the assembly activity. You should check all the, okay, you made all the assembly, the assignments the same way. So, okay, you have to check its activity just for assembly. Filter, inspection, contains inspection, and if it contains inspection, no block will be assigned to inspection. And filter by value, transports, contains transports, no block will be assigned to transport activities. The block will cost, the block will be bought. The block will be bought for, I think will be bought just for assembly activities. Okay, again, filter, assembly. We are assembling blocks. So the blocks will be assigned just to these activities. Assembly activities. You will have to calculate everything again. 47. Now we have one block for 4 blocks type A, 4 blocks type B, 1 block type C, 5 blocks type D. Where is the garden? Garden, okay. General diagram for what? For gardening, grass, grass. Grass is green. If grass is green, I will move grass to the last position, the bottom. Oh, there is a grass here. Sorry, I was not paying attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks and grass. Okay, composition of materials. Composition of materials seems to be done, but remember not to apply and assign blocks to every activity, just for assembling activities. The cost will be changes, project cost histogram, composition of costs. Okay, here all the costs were recalculated. Cost components, cost center, total costs. Yes, so total costs. Calculating 3 millions, not 4 millions. We have bought too much blocks, and people will ask you, why did you decide to buy so repeated blocks? Okay, mode 47, part 3 of 4. Part 3 of 4, you should register your resource. As we saw, you made your registering and included generator and container admin. Costs per hour. Costs per hour. Let's look at the prices here. Let me find where is the here. Let's read it together. Fixed cost per hour of use. Per hour of use. 100 reals. Okay. Because why I am reading in such precision way? Because it's used to rent a generator by month and the container service by month, and you are registering here by hour, because our system works by is paid by hour, not by month. You should consider registering by hour or by month, which would be the difference in the final cost, project's final costs. You have to think about that. Creating a value by hour or creating values by month as a common in commercial periods of renting. There's another thing I'd like to see again is material. Where is PPE kits? Okay, where is the price of it? Here. But when you use your where is it? When we look here, double click, and I will have, that's what I was looking for. Why I have suggested you to use so decimal and so small amount of use per hour. Because imagine if you are a helper or assembler, use boots or helmets for security. These boots and helmets should last and should be used by at least a big time, months. You should divide the number of hours it lasts being available to protect workers in order to have how this PPE is consumed by hour. After 800 hours, it will be done, it will be out of use. So this is what indicates during projects they consume the needs of changing or giving another kit for each worker. I will use composition of material. Yes, these are the blocks. If I ask a graphic for PPE, where is PPE kits? Not grass. Not cumulative, just, yes, cumulative. By month. And I would like to see the values on top of it. Values. Decimal, no decimal places. We start with 4 PPE and we last with 57. If you see it day by day, not monthly, we start our work with no people working, I think. Or imagine we have to start this week. Let's see by week. We have to start with 0, suppose no work here. There is no direct work. Probably people from indirect work don't use E, EPP, PPE. But as soon as we start working on the ground, we need 1, 2, 4, 6. Okay, the first month we have to have 6 available in the sites. Day by day. If you choose day by day, sorry, each week by week, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4. We have a median here, 5 people working together. It seems that there are 5 workers, 5 people working at the same time as a median of workers here. I have to check it, but this graph shows us that we have to buy 57 kits, 57 PPE kits. We were on part 3 or 4, and now we go to part 3 or 4. Yes, still in part 3 or 4. Layout 50. What it means? Resource allocation on activities. You could allocate people to work in each activity. Helper, driver, truck. But remember, when you assign a helper, you also and automatically assign water, helper, drinks, boots, PPE kits. You also assign, when you assign a truck, you also assign diesel and water it consumes, and also the generator. When you assign a generator, you can see the water. Where is a generator? The water it consumes, and the time the generator works, and the amount of diesel, liters of diesel it consumes during the whole project. You have not to assign a generator and calculate how many liters will you use in diesel, to assign diesel here and what assign water here. And remember that supervisor drinks water and you have to add some water to the water you have assigned. No, it's automatically updated because you have configured that. Imagine resource, imagine that you decided, or someone has decided that they won't drink just 1 liter. They will drink 1 liter per hour, but they will have a shower at the end of the day. And as a shower, they will spend 80 liters per shower. 80 liters in 8 hours means 10 liters per hour. So each work will consume, each work will consume 11 liters per hour, meaning the amount of water they need for the day. Of course, the supervisor, 10 liters because his shower, and half liter because he drinks it. When you recalculate everything, please take a look at here. Water remaining. Recalculating. The amount of water increased too much. Automatically, without reassigning every value for every line just because a general change happened to your work site. Again, they decide to be back. They decide to redo the initial data, initial value. It was just a simulation. Everything came back again without changing every assignment. Okay, water fixes because we have to wash something. Okay, this is the water regarding the life of these workers and the amount of water to wash the block. Okay. Another one is history. Okay, every time you have a table information, you may show it in a graphical way. I don't know, so what is 55? 55 is something asked to have a code WBS name resource hours. The amount of hours, work hours, this project needs direct and indirect work here. And the graphs, project labors resource center. Project labor resource center. I don't know from what these graphs came from, because the information here is not clear. Helper quantity, assembler quantity, resource hours, assembler and helper. Okay, we can see, I will expand the height to 300. The amount of hours 2,000, almost 3,000 hours, 800, 1,008. Adding these two parcels means 2,600. But of course, there are other resource hours that are not being shown here. But the exercise it asks just to show helpers and assemblers, not all of them. And you choose the histogram. I prefer the columns. You're not obliged to use columns, just myself. Resource hours, assembler, and help. Imagine if you ask it to show resource hours and expand centers. Resource hour is not a resource center, so it would not help us to show it. Resource center contra labor. Labor is a resource center. Assembler, helper, driver, supervisor, and general service appears here, but we are not asking it in our exercise. We just asked resource center, project labor, for indirects, one is for accumulating containing total of the center project labor and its active components. So the idea is that you could understand how to build your graphic, how to show the information not in tables, but also in graphics. Quantity, I think you overdo your obligations, settings. You marked this checkbox, show resource availability. This item gives us some interesting information. Quantity. I will set in for no decimal places here. I use 1, 6, 2, 12, but I have 40 assembler. Don't you think that you should dismiss or transfer some assemblers to other project sites? There is too much availability here. It's not profitable. On helpers and assemblers are being used really under our limits. Let's check view, resource control presses. There is a red target line here. We have 40 helpers and we are using 36. I don't know where these helpers are being over allocated. There's a red mark here. Let's see. Calculating. Show reports. Okay. And there is a report create resource availability, resource overloads reports. There is no overload here. Reports overload bar. There's a bar. It is completely green here. There is no over allocation from helper to assembler to drivers. There is no over allocation here. But when I look to resource table, it seems there is here. Let's check it. View, no, table, action, filter. Oh my God, you may have colored it. Select default. Okay, now there is no over allocation. Imagine if you have the quantity of your resource at the level of 30. When I press calculation button, we should have some indication here showing us that at this time we should need more something, more what? View, resource, more. We are needing more 36 helpers than we have. Please note that the green area is availability. Yellow area means using. And the red one means we do not have enough people to work. Later we will see how to work with this. But anyway, it was red because you colored the line. Let's back to 40. Calculate again. And the red line disappears and the red bars here disappears. Everything's okay. 55 okay, 57's the last one. What is it needed? 57. Load composition of MO in Portuguese is mão de obra. So the acronyms for mão de obra should be work workforce. I don't know how would you say it in English. Workforce or labor. I don't know how to make it shorter. Presenting the attributes, the code, the WS code, name, and resource hours. Weekly charts. I think maybe it's, here it's in a weekly chart. Accumulated. Okay, seems to be accumulating. Containing the total hours of the resource center, project labor, and its activity components. Indirect projects. Indirect project. I don't know which of them. Where is component projects? Labor. General. So okay, that's here seems to be the indirect one. I will guess. And this one seems to be the other one. Diagrams. In the indirect. Okay. Labor quantity, because you decide to labor and which resource you would like to see. And this one is labor, and the ones you want to see in cumulative work. Hours. Okay, two graphs. Okay, you are very clever doing graphs now because you have made so many graphs. I think you may be asked to do any kind of graphs. Just remember, I like columns. You may like your histograms, but I like I think I understand better when I say I see columns. There is a red area here. Settings, columns. Okay, I'll expand it, and I will roll it. There is a red here. Means hours. Okay, it's not units, just hours. You must understand what is happening here. But cumulative hours means that being overlocated here from a labor quantity. Okay, the amount of okay, all the resources are okay, no red area indicating over allocated. Resource overload bar, no red lines here. There's something interesting when we have overlocation, but we'll see next unit. Okay, Joseph, some suggestions for you to fix costs, assignments, or probably the landscaping and grass quantity of material. Okay? Please give back the numbers you see on your exercise comments. Bye-bye.